Okay, there we go. First of all, how you doing, man? Hopefully everything's going well, Jake. Thanks for doing this.
Of course, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Just getting through the pandemic. Speaking of that, what, if any, reservations did you have about coming back to campus, and how has that transition been for you so far?
I didn't really have any hesitation or anything with that. I know a lot of people didn't have that either. I knew everybody was home for a long time. Everybody was eager to get back up here, get back in the swing of things. The transition, though, was pretty smooth. The staff we have here, they do a great job with making sure everybody's safe. Everybody has every need that they have met, and they made it pretty smooth for everybody here.
All right, we'll move on to Audrey Snyder.
Hey, Jake, thanks for your time this afternoon. Hope you're doing well.
Appreciate it.
I'm just wondering if you can kind of take me through, one, what phase were you in? Were you one of the phase one guys? And what's it like when you now step into Haluba Hall? Because I know everything is pretty much centered in that building right now.
Yeah, I came back on the first phase. And yeah, Haluba, they got the whole workout system set up in there right now, obviously. Very organized, very step-by-step process every day. You got to go in there and, you got to run through a series of, testing and questionnaires and things like that. And they got everything blocked off in certain areas. They're always cleaning stuff, spraying stuff down, making sure everybody's uptight with what's going on. But yeah, they have everything, sectioned out. It's ran pretty smoothly and efficiently. And with what's going on right now, I think they got it going on and set up pretty well.
Donnie Collins.
Hey, Jake. What was quarantine like for you? Was it different for? I mean, everybody had certain challenges, but for you, what kind of stuff were you able to work on that maybe other people weren't able to work on with their games, as far as kicking goes?
Yeah, the quarantine, overall it wasn't too bad. As far as like training and working out and things like that, I had access to a field every day up in my high school. So I was able to take full advantage of that, and get out there and practice like I would be here every day, which was really good opportunity. Lifting weights, I have stuff in my basement at my house and stuff like that I was able to use to do that. And I was able to go up and run and do all those sort of things. Iowa, the whole country was hit by it. Iowa wasn't a spot, especially where I was at, where it was like too out of hand. So I was able to do a little bit more stuff and continue to work out kick.
Mark Brennan.
Jake, you guys lose Blake Gilligan. Can you talk about what a leader he was in that room? And you're kind of a veteran now. Do you feel as if you have to step up into those shoes a little bit? Yeah.
Losing Blake, obviously a player like that, a leader like that, it's hard to replace. Blake's a great player, great leader, did a lot of great things for this team, especially since I've been here. But yeah, it kind of feels weird now jumping into that role. Feels like not too long ago that I was the new guy stepping on campus, so it's weird. But as time's gone on, I've kind of transitioned into that role. Coming into my third year, then this year, that'll be definitely a huge role that I got to step into. Me and a couple other guys. So yeah, losing Blake's huge, but obviously you got to step up each year, fill new roles, and add to my role personally. So yeah.
Bob Flounders.
Hey, Jake, how are you?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good, Jake. I had two quick ones for you. What changed for you last year, Jake? You obviously you missed only one field goal attempt. You were very good from distance. I think you were 11 for 12. You did have some missed kicks your first year. Was it Joe Lorig, or was it just you? What were you able to get your confidence back? What do you think changed for you? And then just one more. Can you just talk a little bit about Jordan Stout and his leg strength, not just on maybe kickoffs, but there's a lot of talk that he could challenge to be the punter, and also he made some long field goals for you guys last year.
Yeah. Personally for me, what changed, I think, with Coach Lord coming in, obviously getting a new coach and things like that puts a new perspective on the special teams and me as a player. I think, he held me to a very high standard, which made me a better player overall. When he came in, he knew I kind of had to step my game up and, take my game to a different level. But I think a lot of it too was just me being there for another year, having a year of experience underneath my belt, knowing what to expect, just being more comfortable out there. And I think a lot of that was in part of me getting a lot of good work in over the off season to my sophomore season, talking to people and stuff like that, and just overall just being more comfortable and confident out there. But with Jordan, Jordan's got a very strong leg, as everybody knows. He's got a wide range of things that he can do with that. And that could potentially be punting, which I think, I've seen him punt, for the past year. He's a great punter. I think he could fill that role very nicely. He's able to do that. Kickoffs, as you guys know, he's strong on those, can boot it out of the back. And on long field goals, he's able to connect from far, which is a strength. But yeah, his leg strength overall is really well. And I think with punting, that could fill in really nicely.
Mike Gross.
Hi, Jake. Donnie's question kind of anticipated mine. It seems like you guys, kickers, in the break could possibly have worked on their skills in a way that no other position group really could. And every time I open up my phone, I see some video on Twitter of some guy in a high school field drilling it from 65 yards out. I mean, are you expecting kicking to be maybe the strongest part of college football when the season starts?
Yeah, obviously with what was going on, a lot of people weren't able to get, too in depth with their training and things like that. But kicking, all you need is a field goal, a field, and a ball. There's not really not too much you need to go out there and do that and work on it. And I know a lot of people, when they were back home, they had access to their high school fields, which helped. And just going out there and being able to do that every day. I know personally when I was back, my brother was back too, and he's a college kicker. So I was able to go with him almost every other day. Obviously with no spring ball, it kind of sucks with not being able to get that edge. But I feel personally being back home, being able to kick with my brother, being able to kick with other people, and quite often played a huge advantage. So, yeah.
Tyler Donahue.
Hey, Jake. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for taking the time today. Just wanted to ask you a little bit about the transition that this roster is going through with the freshmen coming in, a lot of them in the past few days. Have you seen any of them? Are they looking at a completely different entrance to college football than what you guys experienced in your class?
Yeah, extremely, extremely different. And honestly, we have probably, a lot of guys back on campus right now. But with what's going on, you got to be segmented into different groups, and you got to be placed in different groups with your lift and your run. So, you're only seeing the guys that you do that with each day. You don't really see anybody else, which is different because most workouts, you're working out in a large group of like 50 guys or so. So no, I haven't been able to see a lot of those guys at all, honestly. I've only seen another handful of guys in between workouts. But for those guys, yeah, it's got to be extremely, extremely different. Obviously, with what's going on, it's not like a warm, welcome back. It's a weird process shifting back into here and doing this. It's a first for all of us, which is different. And for those guys, I'm sure it's different as well. But with what our staff does and what the coaches and everybody here, they make it a pretty smooth transition overall. So I think those guys are in good hands.
John Sauber.
Hey Jake, thanks for doing this. I was wondering, you mentioned going from year one to year two and improving your confidence. What are you looking to improve on from year two to year three, and what do you feel like, some of the intricacies of kicking are that you need to work on?
Yeah, I feel, like I said, the biggest thing from year one to year two was having experience. It's hard going out there year one and nailing everything and, being totally comfortable in that environment. But as time goes on, you adapt and you get more comfortable. And I think that was the biggest thing from year one to year two. I just felt a lot more comfortable out there. But year two to year three, the confidence, being comfortable out in that atmosphere, that's all there. I think a big part of this offseason is, just correcting the small things, with my approach, with my stance, my steps, smoothing things out to where it's just more, trying to get more to that muscle memory stage and just smoothing out my approach right now. Those are probably the biggest things that I'm working on right now with just little small details to my approach and my swing.
Peter Terpstra.
Hey, special team units are very close knit because you guys are just spending, all of your time during the season, through practice and everything all together.
Yep.
What kind of contact did you have with the other kickers and punters when everyone was quarantined and separated? And did you guys, I don't know, find ways to hang out virtually? I don't know, maybe playing video games or FaceTime or Zoom meetings or anything?
Yeah, I mean, we had meetings, a couple of times a week that we would hop on and talk with everybody, and we would have times where the coaches would hop off the meetings, and then we would stay on there and talk for a couple extra minutes and chat. But with most of those guys, we kept in close contact throughout the break. There were times where it was kind of going on for too long, and we were all ready to get back and get to work. But over the break, we were talking, every week, couple times a week. Just checking in, seeing how our guys are doing, stuff like that.
Ben Jones.
Jake, you've obviously over the course of a Big Ten season, you're gonna kick at places that have had a lot of people. You've kicked at places that don't have a lot of people. What's the difference between taking a kick in front of a big crowd versus taking a kick in front of maybe 20,000 people?
Obviously, there's a factor with kicking with that. I don't try to look at it like that. I think personally, I try to look at it, taking each kick the same. The fans, the noise, all that plays a factor. But, the biggest factor for me is putting 3 points up on the board or not putting 3 points up on the board. And I think that's the biggest, contributor. I think that's the biggest thing that I look at. Obviously, there's a lot of things that go on and go around. But I feel as time goes on, or as time has gone on, I feel like I've been able to block all that out and not focus on that. And the crowd really doesn't matter. It can play a role sometimes, but overall it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters, making it or missing it. So no matter the noise, no matter the crowd, I try to approach each kick the same way, same approach, be dialed in and locked in to make it. So.
Joe Giuliano.
Hey, Jake, thanks for your time today. Obviously, doing all this in the middle of a pandemic, the key is, I think, for this team would be to everyone has to be accountable. What have the leaders said to each other? Have you guys met a lot about, making sure that you stay in your bubble and not really take any chances?
Yeah, I mean, the coaches down, everybody's emphasized the importance of, washing your hands all the time, staying clean, disinfecting everything, staying apart, social distancing, all that. And that starts with the coaches, and it's, it trickles down to the players, obviously, but, that's obviously the huge emphasis. In order for us to have a season, everybody's gonna, they got to do their role. They got to watch out. They got to be more careful. And, everybody wants to have a season. So the importance of that has been preached heavily. And, it's a huge emphasis on what we have going on right now.
Chris Heidel.
Hey, Jake. Thanks for joining us today. Question, talk about hitting field goal, kicking at Beaver Stadium. Is it harder during the September, October, or is it tougher during the when the wind blows?
Yeah. Obviously, when in the beginning of the season when it's a little more nice out, a little more hot, the weather's a little better for us. Obviously, I think that's a little easier. Um, but kicking here, most of the season you're going to be kicking in some harsher weather, harsher climate, stuff like that. I think as the season goes on and the wind picks up, it gets colder and stuff like that, the ball is a lot harder to kick. But it's something that you adapt to and you grow with, and over time, you don't really look at it like that. You know what's coming. You're able to adapt and work with it. So obviously it gets worse, but you're able to adapt and work with it as the season goes on.
All right, at this time, we have a time for a second round of questions. So we'll start back up with Nubias Wilborn.
Jake, at least up till now, you guys haven't had any announced positive tests. How does that, I guess, feel when you look and you see so many campuses like Texas and Clemson, guys reporting back?
Yeah, I think that has to do with the coaches, with the medical staff, with our training staff, and players just buying in and being smart about it. And I know a lot of places, like you said, players are testing positive, things like that. I think with the way things are run at Penn State, workouts, the directions and the steps that players have to take each and every time that they step around Haluba or they're, off campus at their houses. I think everything that's set up is set up to where, there's almost zero risk of getting that. I think the players are bought into that as well, which helps. And that has helped, no players test positive and everybody be safe and sound so far. And I think we just got to continue to do that to stay safe.
Audrey Snyder.
Jake, I just want to make sure I heard you right there. Do you say, to your knowledge, no player at Penn State has tested positive? And also, what are some of those procedures that they're outlining for you guys off the field in terms of staying safe? Are you only socializing with certain groups, or how are they going about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have all the medical information with the tests. I know that's what the doctors have. The players obviously don't have access to that, but I think everybody so far has been able to stay safe and stay clear of with what's going on with the virus and stuff like that, and stay safe, which is good. But the guidelines that they give us and stuff like that, obviously anytime we're out, it's the masks, it's disinfecting our room, changing our sheets, washing our clothes, all those sort of things regularly and routinely, and not going out into big groups. Obviously that's a pretty obvious thing not to do, is to go out in public and be in large groups and things like that, especially without wearing a mask or, taking precautions, staying apart from people. So, they're just preaching to us, do the obvious. Don't put yourself in those situations where you're putting yourself or your teammates at risk of the virus. Kind of just hang out low key, do what you have to do and stay safe. That's the gist.
Donnie Collins.
Jake, how important was Blake as a holder to you, and how long does it take to develop a guy, and for you personally to get comfortable with a new holder?
Yeah, Blake, Blake held for me for 2 years. I think Blake was a great holder. Obviously, great punter, great leader, anything like that. But as a holder, he had it down to a science. He was so efficient with it. Never really had a bad hold ever. That I can remember. He was good, but it took some time. When I first got on campus, it took a little while to get comfortable with that routine and that process. Getting a new holder though, it's just all about just getting reps with that person, trying to get out as much as possible, get more comfortable every workout, every kick session, things like that. It takes a little bit of time, but the more you work on it, the better you feel. By the time the season comes, hopefully you feel really good about it.
Mark Brennan.
Jake, excuse me, can you tell me about the impact that Joe Lorg has had in his year plus working with the special teams, maybe a little bit about his personality, and how does he coach up the kickers directly? Because I know that's a little different dynamic than most positions.
Yeah, Coach Lori, with kickers especially, no coach at this level is going to be able to step in there and they're not going to switch the kicker's approach. They're not going to, nitpick at things like that. If you're at this level right now, you already know what you need to clean up. You know what you need to work on. If you have a bad kick, you know what went wrong. I don't think he's in there, nitpicking things like that. I think the mindset, the approach that he brought to our special teams unit this year was huge. Simplicity equals speed, being simple, being fast, owning your role, owning your job each and every time you step on the field, all 11 guys. I think that's a philosophy that he brought in here that, resonates with everybody. I think everybody's been bought in with it. Everybody wants to be bought in with it. The philosophy of his special teams, puts a huge emphasis on, just owning your role and doing your job. And, he made it exciting coming in here. And I think everybody wanted to be a part of that and wanted to be bought in and was able to buy in. He made guys be bought in on it. And, I think that's what really helped our special teams unit this year.
Mike Gross.
Yeah, Jake, I thought it was interesting that you said earlier that you hardly ever, you don't see the other guys except for the ones that are in your workout group. Could you tell us a little bit about like how big a group is it? Is it position group? I mean, how is it structured? And a little bit what your day's like. I mean, what your daily routine is like since you've been going through these, this stage that you're at right now.
Yeah, the workouts are small. They're not, you can't get a lot of guys in the area at once. It's just a handful of guys. And every station, every rack, everything like that is, fully distanced apart. They're spreading everything out, the running, the working out. And it's just in small incremental groups with the guys that are here on campus right now. And yeah, you only see the guys that you lift with. I mean, because they need time. They need time to, sanitize, spray, wipe, clean every little piece of haluba before another group is even allowed in there. So, there's a big time slot in between the lift groups, and they're so small that, you're really not seeing any guys other than the guys in your lifting group. But for a regular day, most guys up here, I'm pretty sure all guys, we're all taking classes right now. So we got that to do. You wake up, do your classes, depending on your lift time, you have that, you have your lift and your run. I know guys are, working out on their own too and finding ways to get around that. I know personally me, Chris and Jordan, we go up to the high school here and we try to get work as much as possible because, we're not allowed to be in Lash and use those facilities for those things right now, strictly just the lifts and the runs at Haluba. So, guys are finding ways to do that and fill their time up with that. But, just relaxing, hanging out, working out, staying up with their studies and just, kind of waiting for a little more guidelines to get through.
Tyler Donahue.
Jake, so much of what we talk about with specialists like you is what's going on upstairs mentally when you approach key situations and there's a lot of pressure on you. Can you take us inside of Jordan Stout's mentality? We're going to get him on a call later this week, but overall, haven't had a lot of interaction with him since he got to campus. What is he like in preparing for games, and what have you seen from his demeanor when it's time to go out there and kick a 50-plus yard field goal?
Yeah, Jordan has a strong mindset up top. As most kickers, you're not trying to focus on the result as much as you are the process. And when I say that, I mean, you're not trying to walk up to every kick going, all right, if I make it, if I miss, what's going to happen. It's just following your training, following your rules that you've done every day, that inside and out, and sticking to that to allow the process to be positive and have a good result. When he takes those kicks, you're not, a 50-plus yarder, you're not supposed to make those every single time. And he's done a good job with those. And I think when he steps up there, he's excited for it. Those are big kicks. He's excited to take those. He's excited to do that. And, I'm pretty sure before games and stuff like that, he's laid back, he's relaxed. And, when it comes time to do those kicks, he gets locked in, he gets bought in, and he gets up for it. He gets pumped up for it and excited for it. And just tries to go out there and do the best he can.
John Sauber. Center Daily Times.
Yeah, Jake, you mentioned going to the local high school. Is that state high school you're going to? And is that a pretty popular workout spot for you guys since it's, the main field around here?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just state high. I'm not sure if it's exactly like their high school, like where they play. There's a field up there, a turf field up there by their high school. And that's a popular area where we guys are going right now. It's a turf field, there's a lot of space up there. Guys are able to get up there, throw, run routes, kick, stuff like that. So that's pretty popular with what's going on right now since we don't have full access to the other fields right now.
And we have time for one more question. We'll end with Peter Terpstra.
Hey, Jake. I'm curious, do you guys have to wear a mask at any time, like when you're working out, whether it be just like weight room or anything like that? And do you think this level of discipline when it comes to, staying, to yourself and, being safe, do you think that's sustainable for, 6 months for a whole football season?
Yeah, with working out and things like that, they give us, when we got here, they gave us a handful of masks and things to wear over our face and our nose. But yeah, we got to wear that every time we work out. Anytime we're in the building, Haluba, anytime we're in there, we got to have that on at all times. Working out, it's got to be covered. Obviously, you can pull it down, get some water or something like that real quick. But yeah, they're keeping it pretty safe and pretty lean or pretty tight with wearing the mask. You gotta be on top of that, and you gotta wear it at all times to be safe, so everybody else feels safe and everyone can stay healthy. But with the discipline, with going on through football season, obviously that's going to be hard. I think if we want to have a season and have it go in the way that we want it to, everybody's got to be bought in, and everybody's got to be able to stay disciplined and stay safe. And I think, that's preached almost every day by the training staff, coaches, and things like that, just reiterating the safety precautions that we need to take to have a season and to do what we want to do. It'll be challenging. Obviously, that's a long time. It takes a lot of stuff, like mentally, physically, all that stuff. It takes a lot. But, with the discipline that we have right now, I think it won't be too much of an issue. I think it'll be okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We will have Jordan Stout on tomorrow's call. And thank you, Jake.